Hello, everybody there. We are live. We are live. Should be working. Have one concurrent viewer. Hello. Welcome to the show. Sunday afternoon now. It's about 1:20 my time. It's been a relaxing morning. Not watching too much news today. I'm taking the day off from news. Not doing that many things. But how's everybody going? You know, I put on here on my title, I put guitar because this week I think the best thing I always watch every day some kind of something about music, music theory, how to play a song, or listen to songs, or interviews with guitarists and other musicians. And this week I saw Richie Faulkner. I don't know if any of you know who Richie Faulkner is. He is the guitarist for Judas Priest. And he did an interview where he showed how to play most of the hits as he's learned them. He's been playing with the band since 2011 when Kenneth Downing left, KK Downing left the band, and he replaced him. And now it was funny because I've played a lot of Judas Priest, and that's one of my favorite go-to bands when I play rock stuff. And have you ever heard Hellbent for Leather? Anyway, I just learned that a couple of days ago from Richie Faulkner, watching him. He spells it out. And I already played that song. I played it my own way, but this part especially, I play it now the way he does. I played it a little different, but... If you play guitar, you know a lot of times the way the song sounds on the studio version that you get on an album is different than what you play it like, especially when there are two lead guitar players like in Judas Priest. You've always had, when these songs came out, it was Glenn Tipton and it was KK Downing, Ken Downing. So one of them's playing one thing, like one of them might just be going... playing little fill-in chords that keep the beat, and the other one's doing the droning sound on the A string. But this part is what got me because I think I would have played that different. Gotta sneeze, hold on. Let's see. Kind of like that. That's how it ends. So how is everybody? Anybody in chat? Hello. I haven't live streamed in a while. I lost motivation because I got demonetized. I've had 2 videos taken down. And hey, what's up, Adam? Hey, how you doing? Long time no see. Are you still over in Katy? Are you in Katy? I think you were over there. You know, I found out since last couple of years I've been in touch with a ton of people I went to high school with at Sci Fair over in Cyprus. And a lot of them live in Katy, or if they still live in Cyprus, they're on the west side of Cyprus, near where you live, over toward Katy. So anyway, I'm just sitting here playing guitar. I thought I'd go live, talk about things that happened this week. So I'm learning Judas Priest. I'm watching Richie Faulkner videos. Oh, you're in Woodlands now. Wow. That's a nice area. You know what? I don't live in the Woodlands because I'm allergic to pine. Pine needles, if I take a pine needle and just poke myself with it or scratch it along my arm, it will turn red and leave a track. And I've always had an allergy to pine, which sucked growing up in Houston because there's pine trees everywhere, especially in the wooded piney area. You're working in Katy. Cool. I like Katy. You know, I live in the south near Johnson Space Center, Clear Lake City area. But if I didn't live here, I would live over across town over in Katy. Between Katy and Cypress. Mason Road, Fry Road, all the way going east to 290. I like that area. So you're in the Woodlands now. Wow. That's still, from me here, that's about an hour away, right? To drive from, I'm on Bay Area Boulevard. For me to drive from Bay Area Boulevard across Houston on the east side and get up to Woodlands. It's a straight shot on the highway. I mean, I'm close to Highway 45 and you're on 45 or near 45. Are you doing anything on YouTube now? Have you got a camera set up? You got a studio? Are you making videos? Are you recording anything? Have you found out any more? Woodlands is amazing. Yeah, there are a lot of developments in the Woodlands. You know, actually, when I was a high schooler, I used to go and I was on swim team and we swam against Woodlands. But back then, I think the neighborhoods that I was swimming in on swim team, I was a swimmer and a diver as a kid. But I think the neighborhoods that I'm thinking of that were really nice back then, where the community pool was, where we had the swimming lanes and we did the tournaments and stuff, is probably one of the oldest neighborhoods in the Woodlands now, and it's not that nice, I would think. See if you know this song. Nope. I just... I don't have enough frets on this guitar to go up there and hit that high note. So, Adam, good to see you. Hey, you ever see Patty anymore? What about Flat Earth? Have you had any more Flat Earth encounters? You meet anybody else that's a Flat Earther? Yeah. These boomer songs, yeah. Do you play guitar? How long have you been playing guitar, Adam? I've been playing guitar since I was 5 years old, and I'm 55. So I've been playing guitar for 50 years. I can play anything on the guitar if I sit down and practice it, and I do classical stuff, you know. Classical gas. Since you were 12 and you're 38, wow, we could jam. I bet. So, are you classically trained like I am? Have you done the stuff like that, or can you do the? Or drop D in classical? How about? I don't remember. Have you ever heard of Capriccio Árabe? Capriccio Árabe. Yeah, we'll have to get on here. And you studied classical guitar in college. Oh, nice. You know, I met Andres Segovia. Have you seen my video where I met Andres Segovia? I studied classical. I started when I was 5. And you're a music major. Wow. So you probably know more pieces than I do now. Mine are super rusty. I haven't played a lot for a while. Mostly, you know, I went from classical guitar to blues and rock and roll when my grandmother, believe it or not, she lent me her Fender Stratocaster when I was about 10 or 11. The neck broke on my fingerstyle, and the only repair places around are closed. I like to do a lot of fingerstyle picking. It really helps nowadays when you can be more versatile. If you're sweep picking, I do flamenco style. I've played a lot of Bach, you know, Fernando Sor, Julian Bream. But yeah, when I was a kid, Andres Segovia came and he played here in Houston, and he was at the Jones Hall. And that was like, I was 7 or 8 years old. It was like in 1972. I think he died in, what was it, 77? 78. So I met him just 5 years before he died. And he patted me on the head. And my father's first language is Spanish, so we got backstage at Jones Hall right after this concert. And then I met him. And I remember I had my program in my hand, and I was just standing in line waiting to meet Andres Segovia. And I gave him my paper, and he signed it, and he looked, and he said, "So you're playing classical guitar? Wow." And he patted me on the head, and he just said, "Keep practicing, you're going to be great," you know. But he said it in Spanish. And my father was there to translate, but I understood it. My father spoke to me in Spanish when I was a baby, but my mother is a gringa. I mean, she's really Texan, blonde hair, green eyes. I have descendants that go all the way back to the Alamo. I'm very Texan, even the last name Houston is in my family. Sam Houston and his cousin were like great uncles of mine. I have an uncle, Al Manzan, who bought the black twin sister cannons for the Alamo. So, do you have a classical guitar, but I guess your neck is broken. Wow. Hey, let's talk about the news. Have you seen in the news today? I mean, this week, look at all the riots and what has happened. I'm going to tell you straight off the bat, I don't believe that this event that started this racial divide is an actual event. I'm trying not to name names, but I'm going to say uh, the people who were involved and in causing a person to be deceased because of a knee, uh, those were actors, crisis actors, is what I believe. From what I've seen and what I've found, just look at the uniforms, look at the badges, look at the patches, just look at their faces, look how they're acting, and there are paid, actors around doing things, making events, causing people to have impressions of things. And for some reason, it's not illegal to do that. It's illegal for us to have an opinion about it and talk about it. I say illegal, but like on YouTube, it's not right for us to have an opinion about it or say anything about it. But at the same time, these people can go out and hire actors in a whole town, perhaps, let's say, and pretend a bunch of people were hurt or maimed, and you find out later that there were no EMTs, there was no coroner, the procedures and the protocols and the events did not happen as they would normally, and then when you start to pick it apart, you figure out that in certain sicknesses or diseases, there are plastic mannequins being worked on. I don't know if you remember, there was a truck in France that was at an event that was on Bastille Day, is that their Independence Day, and allegedly went into a crowd and ran over a lot of people. But there were videos that some of those actors were filming with their smartphones, and they filmed actually the mannequins lying in the street and being set up with the blood packs. And then it was like a kickoff at a football game when the whole team spreads out down by the 10-yard line and starts running, and they have the kickoff, and they were like, go, and everybody started running alongside the truck. And but you could see some of these bodies had the limbs separated from, anyway, you can see a lot of props, you can see uniform. If you look in these events that have happened this week, you're going to find in a lot of the crucial, let's say, evidence, things they're showing you what happened, the uniforms don't match. People that get out of ambulances, for example, are not EMTs. They're policemen, and uniforms that don't match, don't have the same patches, don't have the same numbers on them. The person with his knee, he's in the street and his badge is all crooked, like it's just pinned on there on a shirt that doesn't look like it's been worn before in duty. Just look harder, look more cognitively at what you're looking at, and try to discern what's going on with some of these things, because for some reason these things are allowed. They just go right into a city. They take two guys that have worked together for 17 years at a strip club where they're performers and people who work the door and security, and they are epic turtle. Because of Rona. Yeah, because of Rona. The Rona. We're talking about Rona just disappeared. Riots came out, and then now all of a sudden you've got everybody's forgotten about Rona. And people are running around without masks on. They're not talking about. We don't see in our communities the sick people anymore like we did. We actually were sick in my community. We were sick in December and January, but it kind of went away. There aren't that many people or anyone that I know. I think you would see if we had a pandemic, at least locally or regionally where we're at in the Houston area, it's not anything, because I think you would see a lot of funeral processions. You would see things happening around cemeteries a lot more. A lot more people would know everyone who was sick and contact tracing. But it seems like what you do end up seeing are people that are downtown in major cities where events occur. Have you seen these people that show up where there are riots, where the bricks are dropped off? They have pallets full of rocks and bricks that are just dropped off right when they're supposed to have a riot with these paid terror protesters that are paid to cause havoc and protest anything they want to protest. They'll get paid for. There was a man I saw, someone passed to me on Facebook, where a man came out and said that he was paid to protest anything he wanted to protest. If he would go out in the street and protest, this group, run by a very infamous billionaire, would pay them. They supply even the paper, the colored markers, the pens you need, everything. You just show up, they give you all your supplies like it's your first day at kindergarten, and they give you your crayons and everything and your colored paper. It's just amazing what they're doing. So anyway, I think when it comes down to what started all of this, it's just the same as Rona, or the crown bug as I call it. It did not really happen as it was explained, and therefore the alleged numbers that are attributed to people that may have it or what it's causing do not seem to be correctly reported. All right. Now let's talk about cryptocurrency. Have you seen the cryptocurrency in the news? This week it's going up. You know, Bitcoin is going up. Last time I looked yesterday, it was at 9,800. Today, let's see, it is... Let's flip to my other screen. Right here. Look at this. Total market cap right now is $269 billion that's invested in cryptocurrency market. Okay. Now, the Bitcoin dominance is 64.7%. That's important to watch because recently, I think it's been as high as in the 70s. It's coming down. When we had the big high price, close to $20,000 of Bitcoin back in December of 2017 and January 2018, the volume, the market capital total was closer to $833 billion. But the difference between now and then is that the 24-hour volume, if you look at this right now, the 24-hour volume of cryptocurrency that's being traded right now as we speak is $74 billion. But if you look at what it was on the chart, right here, right there at the top, the 24-hour volume was 44 billion. Now the market cap was 833, like I said. This was on January 7th of 2018. That's when the peak of that graph comes out. This is the total market capitalization graph. Now if you look, total market cap is 833 billion. The daily trading of crypto coins and tokens in that time was 44 billion. Now if you look over here, look at the bottom of this graph at this gray part. This gray part represents the volume. Look how small it is here under this peak. That's the highest peak, higher than we are now in price. The blue line is price. But the gray part, this is the daily traded volume. Look how much more cryptocurrency is being traded right now. Right now, today, the volume is 74 billion, which at its peak over 2 years ago, it was around 50 billion. And already, we're approaching, we're going over 100 billion in trades. Look at this. If you get to the peak here on these charts, there's 171 billion of a 24-hour volume, all right? So we're at multiple times the 24-hour traded volume. You know what that means is there's market adoption and people are learning how to buy cryptocurrency, and it's really taking off and it's becoming more of a known thing. People are buying wallets and they're putting money into it and they're holding on. They're starting to hodl, HODL, they're holding on for dear life. So a lot of the things that I bought here back in the dip in 2018 and 2019 And they've gone up and they've come back down and they've gone down again. And just now they're coming back up to where basically I've got about the same money that I put in there, slightly under, slightly upside down. So I'm not corrected yet. But I would want it, before I sell anything, I'm looking for this market to go up to where Bitcoin hits a price higher than $20,000 per coin. I want it to go up to at least $35,000 per coin. And then you can set, if depending on what exchange you're on, you may have the ability to set limit orders and stop pricing and things like that. So you can set an order. So let's say overnight you're not even paying attention. You have a coin that's worth $1, and you want to sell it if it ever spikes and hits $4. But you're not watching, and by the time you look at a chart, it hit $4 in the morning, but you saw it in the afternoon and you missed it. Well, you can set up an order with the limit and say, if it gets to $4, sell this many units, and that's called a stop limit order. If you set those up, don't sell all of your coins at that number, because what if you sell those and then the next day it goes up to $10? Then you can sell some more. You want to do average selling average over multiple transactions. You don't want to just take everything you've got and say, "Ooh, I made money, sell everything." Sell 15% of what you got. Sell 10%. If you need money, sell 20%. Then wait. If you wait the next day, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just waiting for the next bull run. We've got all of the signals that are looking at that we're going to have a bull run. Especially because look at this, the volume is just growing and growing and growing, even though overall we look pretty flat along here. But the trending, if you look at the logarithmic averages over time, we're getting to a point where the indicators are saying we're going to move up to a new level. So like this, see how before, back from 2014, we have this line down here? And then after 2017, 2018, and its correction, we've corrected to a line that's up here somewhere. Around 250 billion is basically where it's flattening out in price of total market cap. There's 255 right now. I think we're going to go to a next level where we're going to be at around 500 billion as a norm, despite peaks and valleys, all right? So that's what's going on in cryptocurrency. What else is going on? Has anybody seen my previous videos that I put up? Did I tell you I had a video taken down? Just this morning, I got an email. I got an email from YouTube, and they said that your video, I had a video called RNA Vaccine Manufacturing Insider talks about the difference between live and killed vaccines and explains the difference. And that's me, because I worked for, today the company that's going to make the vaccine that's going to come out is called Novavax. If you look that up, Novavax. I worked for Novavax. I was a senior manager in a company called Immunogenetics, and we sold animal vaccines for chickens. And then the company started making human vaccines, because it's the same technology, same ingredients. I sold live and killed vaccines, or inactivated vaccines, if you want to call them that. The inactivated ones are the ones that go intramuscular. When you stick a needle in you, in your arm or your butt or anywhere in your body or your thigh, that's an intramuscular injection. Most intramuscular shots are partial viral code. They're not the whole virus. So you can't get the disease from a shot. If you got a live vaccine, it would be a drop on your tongue, or maybe a nasal spray, or a drop in your nose, something oral or nasal, or sometimes there's a subcutaneous injection, which means the needle goes sideways and they just place it under your skin. You can do, that's called sub-Q or subcutaneous injection. Live vaccines come in either subcutaneous injection, oral, or nasal doses. And we had the same thing for chickens. We would drop drops in their beaks, in their little nasal holes on their beak. And the older birds that were egg layers, we would give them shots. And so I've sold billions of doses of vaccines, and I was manager of Latin America, the Caribbean, and then I did Europe for the company for a while. And I was there when they split the stock. It was on the American Stock Exchange. and they went over to the New York Stock Exchange, and they split into two companies, and Novavax was formed. And I worked with the first president of that company. I won't say his full name. His name was Dennis. I've had lunch in Washington, D.C. with people, dignitaries from other countries, where we wanted to have distribution of vaccines and things like that. So I've worked in the industry. My office was in the manufacturing lab. I worked in it. I know how they work. I was trained by pathologists. I've attended conferences and meetings where all the pathologists would get together. I've met in Georgia at the Center for Disease Control about diseases coming out. And when we started doing human vaccines back then, this was in the mid-90s, our first target for production was going to be making an H1N1 vaccine. Now, H1N1 came out, what was it, 2000? When was that? 2008? I think it was 2007, 2008. So a whole 10 to 12 years, 13 years before that came out, we were working on making an H1N1 vaccine as our target. First production thing, so that if people got sick with that and it was identified, we would have a product for it. And I remember I was in a meeting and I asked a very prominent pathologist who was giving a speech, and he had a slide, and it showed what the birds have, which was H1N5, I believe at the time, and then he was talking about H1N1, and I raised my hand. I said, "Excuse me, doctor, what is H1N1? I know the birds have H1N5, and he says, "Oh, that's one that affects humans, and we plan to have a product for that in the future because it's probably going to outbreak." Let that one marinate for a while in your brain. So yeah, I had a video describing all this stuff, the manufacturing of it, and when this vaccine comes out this year, that's the one they're fast tracking, and some of the critics are saying that they're going to try to rush through the safety and effectiveness and the trials and the placebo tests and the double-blind tests, and they're just going to rush it through because everybody needs to get immunized. And what I was saying in that video is that if you have an intramuscular shot, it's not the whole virus. It's a portion of the DNA code that comes from the messenger RNA that's been isolated in the ribosome on the endoplasmic reticulum in the cell. But when you get that code and you infect your chicken embryos or your tissue culture with it and you do retropassaging, then you inactivate it by putting it in formaldehyde or formalin, and then you suspend it in either an oil emulsion or a mercury derivative or an aluminum hydroxide. Okay, all of those are killed vaccines, which are inactivated. They give you passive immunity. It's like mother's milk. When a mother nurses a baby, that gives the baby passive immunity. The baby doesn't even have an immune system that can produce an antibody from a cell. So the mother's milk has the antibodies in it that can attack a pathogen and kill it. When you get a shot, if it's inactivated, an intramuscular inactivated viral shot, you have a code that's going in your blood. If the dangerous pathogen is in your blood and you've been exposed, it will connect with that. The receptors match, and then the actual virus, the bug, the crown bug from the field, let's say, will inject its nucleic acid, into that viral code that's been inactivated. But nothing happens because this thing is dead, or it's inactive, or it's only a piece of a whole virus that's been killed with the formaldehyde or the formalin. So nothing happens, then it dies. So that's how an inactive portion of a virus code can kill a pathogen in your blood, and that's called blood immunity or passive blood immunity. And all I did was I was explaining that, and it was considered harmful content, and it was taken down. So I can't even talk about expertise in vaccine manufacture. I'm not anti-vaccine. I would get a vaccine if it came out. If we had a live vaccine that would give me immunity and go into my cell with the whole virus, let's do that. But the one they're fast tracking to get out quickly because everybody needs it is not that. And if I point that out, that's harmful content. Or they also mention that they don't allow people to be made fun of or ridiculed, such as people that are, let's say, billionaires that are promoting the shot. So I just have to change the subject. I can't do that anymore. No more videos about crown bug. You have to change the subject. So we talked about cryptocurrency. We talked about events in the news, and we talked about guitar. If you would like to email me, it's my channel name and the number 9. It's all one word, alexaquarius9@gmail.com. So just if those of you who would like to contact me, just write me at alexaquarius9@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you. That's about all that I was going to cover as far as, people that are seeing this after it's live. You can stay if you want to chat and jam. There we go. Why does that sound flat? We passed upon the stair, Slocum wasn't when he said I wasn't there. He said I was his friend, which came as a surprise. I gazed into his eyes, I thought you died alone, a long, long time ago. Oh no, not me, I never lost control. Your face to face with the man who sold the world. I laughed and shook his hand, made my way back home. I gazed and stared at all the millions there. I thought we died alone, a long, long time ago. Oh no, not us, we never lost control. Your face to face with the man who sold the world. Out of tune. I don't know what happened. I was playing that and it just went out of tune. Temperature must have hit it or something. Dirty raw riffage. I'm a dirty raw riffage man. I rip stuff. Let me see if I can tune that up real quick. If what is off. Sounds good on the top. I think my D string's a little sharp. My G string was a little too tight. I think my E string went too tight for some reason. It's slightly out of tune still, but it's a little better. bent for leather. You know, hell bent just means you like it a lot. I remember when I was a teenager and that song came out, I was like, hell bent for leather? What does that mean? It's just a British expression that means you really dig it. I really dig leather. I really dig leather. I'm hell bent for leather. Hell bent means like you really want to do something. If you're hell bent to go to a party, you're going to get there no matter what, you know? So it's funny. All right, Adam, good to see you. Yeah, 3 years ago we met. So keep it flat, Adam. Hey, Adam, did you realize, that night when I filmed with Daniel Clark, I was in the movie Behind the Curve. Do you remember that? But I'm the fifth person speaking in there, and all he got was, and I said, hey, I also saw the JFK assassination, but I'll share that with you at a later date. I talked with him for 20 minutes on camera about the shape of the Earth, how it would work in a flat scenario model with an anodal dipole in the center, and you would have to have a transverse field and create an active toroid with cathodal points on the outside. And I started breaking it down with science, and I was talking about, because I worked in neuromodulation and putting electrodes on the nervous system in the body, working with neurosurgeons. So I know a lot about charging mass and creating electrical fields. So when I talk about how this flat plane would work, if I describe it as a possibility electronically, you have to describe what's called a toroidal field. But it's not necessarily a donut shape, and it's not necessarily a dome. I can't believe it's a dome. In fact, that would be what the aurora borealis is. Have you seen those greenish lights that come out of the North Pole? That's where your positive layer of positrons go into the dipole, and then when it hits the transverse field, it's fluctuating at a higher frequency. It creates electrodes or a negative electron currency. I want to keep saying currency frequency that goes across the plane out to the pillars, which would be your cathodes. So the North Pole would be your anode, and your outer edges, like it says in the Bible or some of the old ancient cosmology, you've got cathodal pillars. And it perfectly makes sense. If you know electricity and you know how to program electrical fields, and if you've ever looked into over-unity or an over-unity generator or creating, that's where if you put energy in and you get more energy out and output than you put in, that's called over-unity. And that's breaking the second law of thermodynamics. Because usually, let's say you have your black box. If you put in 1 kilowatt of something, you're going to get 86 to 92% out the other side. You lose things through resistance and friction and noise. Whereas if you have an over-unity system, unity would be you put in 1, you get out 1. That's unity, 1 and 1. 1 input, 1 kilowatt of input, you get 1 kilowatt of output. That's a unity system. But if you put in 1 and you get 2,000 out the other side, something amped it up. And what you do, you can look on YouTube, and there is a man, I can't even remember where to see it now. I saw it about 10 months ago. There's a man who makes over-unity generators, and the way he does it, he takes these brushes and he runs a current through 2 contacts, but he spins perpendicular another thing. It looks like, you remember the barber pole where it's got the stripe going around? When it turns, it looks like it's going up. It's got like this barber pole metal contact like a screw, and as it goes at a different frequency, and it contacts it closes the circuit between the positive and the negative, so the current can get across. But as it goes over that spinning wheel at a different frequency, there's energy coming out that thing perpendicularly with 2 other poles. Now if you looked at that as a field like a donut, you're going to have 2 donuts. And the center point is going to be what's called a dipole, because there's actually 2 anodal center points. But one field is at a higher frequency and another one is at a frequency that we can perceive. If you're talking about Earth, and that would be what creates gravity, is that cathodal wave shoots across the plane. It heads towards the pillars, but the transverse wave field that creates the aurora borealis from the sky is at a much higher frequency that I think we can't perceive. It's not in our sense range of our 5 senses. So we can't see gravity. you know, but it exists. It all works electronic. Anyway, this is what I explained to Daniel Clark when I was interviewing with him. And he didn't take any of that and put it in the movie. He just took at the very beginning when I said, hey, I also saw the JFK assassination, which I'll talk with you at a later date. And if you pull up Behind the Curve on Netflix and watch it, Scott Kelly comes on, and then there's Mark and Patricia, and then Paul on the plane, and then me saying that. And I was in the trailer, and I was at the Toronto Film Festival and all that. And they used me just as basically to mock me as a joke, like, here's these flat earthers and this guy solved the JFK assassination too. So these people are just into conspiracies. But, all right. Thank you for coming to my show today. I guess I'm going to end it here. It's good to see you, Adam and Epic Turtle. Anyone else who's here right now. Thank you for coming. And I will see you next time. And come back. I'm going to do this every Sunday around 11 or noon my time. And bye.